Hi, I'm Jason. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been following the French version of this project, this one's a little different. This video is a special edition, a combined version of the first two episodes of my Build in Public series, but this time in English. Why? Because I'm French and American. And I realized something. By telling this story only in French, I was leaving out half of who I am. I grew up between two worlds, two languages, two cultures. And if this podcast is about being honest, about being real, then I need to speak in both voices. English isn't just a language I speak. It's a language I feel. And today, I want to use it to reach you, wherever you are, whatever transition you're going through. Because if there's one thing I've learned this past year is this: the more I share, the more I grow. And the more I grow, the more I want to share. So welcome in. This is where it all begins. Let me take you back to the start. A few days ago, I sat at my desk. Same setup as usual. Mic, notebook, laptop, everything in place. But that day, the mic wasn't just equipment. It was something else. It felt like it was looking back at me, like it was saying, "So, what are you waiting for?" And that question hit me hard, because deep down, I knew the answer. I was waiting to feel ready. But here's the truth. Ready doesn't come. You either start or you don't. Hi again. I'm Jason. I'm 38. I used to be a professional basketball player. And even though my pro career is over, I still play. I still step on the court multiple times a week. Not for trophies, not for contracts, but because the game is a part of me. Basketball is still there, but my role in it has changed. I'm no longer playing to prove anything. I'm playing because it grounds me, because it reminds me of who I am, and also of who I'm becoming. But here's the truth. Even though I kept playing, something still felt like it was ending. When the pro contract stopped, when the structure, the pressure, the next season rhythm disappeared, it left a space, a silence. At first, I thought it would feel like freedom, but it didn't. It felt like weightlessness, not in a peaceful way, but in a disorienting one, like losing gravity. Like floating through days that used to have purpose and now just had questions. You see, when you've built your identity around performance, around competing, achieving, delivering, the end of a chapter doesn't just bring change, it brings confusion. Because you're not just changing your schedule, you're redefining who you are. I wasn't Jason the pro athlete anymore, but I also didn't know who I was becoming yet. And that in between space, that undefined zone between what you were and what you're not quite yet, that's the space I want to talk about. Because that's where I've been living, and it's where a lot of us get stuck. I thought staying in the game, still training, still competing, would protect me from that feeling. But it didn't. Because it wasn't about the game. It was about context, about the pressure that shaped every move, about the external expectations, about the structure that told me who I was without me having to ask. And now that structure is gone. And what's left is just me. So I started doing something that I hadn't done in a long time. I started writing. Not content, not captions, just reflections, honest ones. And then I started talking to old teammates, friends who were also in transition, people who had left something behind, a job, lifestyle, or version of themselves. And every time we talked, I saw it clearer. I am not the only one. This space, this quiet, messy, identity shifting space is not unique to me. We all go through it. And yet, we rarely talk about it while we're in it. That's when I knew this is where the podcast begins. So, what is Pure Exchange really? It's not just a podcast, it's a declaration, a commitment to show up, even when I don't have all the answers. It's not about sounding wise or polished or put together. It's about creating a space where real conversations can happen. The kind that move you, even if they don't go viral. You see, for a long time I thought, if I want to build something meaningful, it has to look professional. It has to be optimized, structured, strategic. But I don't want to build a brand. I want to build a connection. That's why it's called Pure Exchange. Because to me, the most powerful things in life come from simple human exchanges. A moment of eye contact, a truth whispered in a conversation, a message that hits you at the right time. That's the energy I want this project to carry. Whether you're in transition, starting something new, questioning what's next, this space is for you. It's not just about my story, it's about yours too. And if while watching or listening, you feel something shift inside, if even for a second you think, wow, I'm not the only one feeling this, then this podcast has done its job. This is not a place for performance. It's a place for truth. And in a world that rewards noise, I want to make space for depth. So this is Pure Exchange, not a highlight reel, not a content strategy, a human space for people who are still figuring it out, for people who are brave enough to say, I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I'm willing to walk the path. And if that's you, then welcome in. You're home here. Let's be honest. If I had launched this podcast the first time the idea crossed my mind, this episode would have come out a long time ago. But I didn't. I hesitated. I postponed. I made excuses. And if I'm being real with you, which I promised myself I would be, it wasn't because I didn't have the time or the gear or the idea. I waited because I was afraid. Afraid that I had nothing new to say. Afraid that my voice would sound flat. Afraid that people would just scroll past it. Afraid that I'd put something out in the world and hear nothing back. That's a deep kind of fear. The fear of being invisible. And it hits different when you've spent your whole life on a stage, in an arena, in a place where people cheered, followed, cared. When you leave that behind, you don't just lose the spotlight. You start questioning if you still matter without it. That's what kept me stuck. I'd sit in front of the mic, ready to speak, and then doubt would creep in. Who are you to talk about this? What if it's not deep enough? What if it's too deep? What if no one relates? What if everyone relates and they expect more? Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in your own voice. And for months, I listened to it. I recorded drafts I never published. I edited things no one ever heard. I tried to get it just right before letting go. And then one day, I realized this fear of being imperfect was stopping me from being honest. And if honesty is the foundation of this whole project, then I couldn't let fear drive the process. That day, I made a decision. I will not build this from fear. I will build it from truth. Even if the audio clips, even if the background isn't perfect, even if my voice shakes. I'd rather show up raw than not show up at all. Because the world doesn't need more polished content. It needs more real. And that starts with me. Not when I feel ready, but now. People often think the hardest part of creating something is hitting publish. They imagine this huge buildup. You plan, you film, you record, you edit, you tweak, you doubt, and finally, you release it. Boom, it's out. And yeah, that moment is intense. But what I've learned, that's not the hardest part. The real challenge is what happens after. You upload, you post, you share the link, you take a breath, and then the silence hits. No dramatic music, no spotlight, no confetti raining from the ceiling. Just normal life continuing around you. Your kids are playing, your phone buzzes, you're still in the same chair, but inside, you feel like you just jumped off a cliff and no one noticed. That's what it felt like for me. The Sunday I released episode 1, I was with my family. We were all there, laughing, cooking, doing live. But my brain, it was somewhere else. Refreshing the podcast stats, rewatching my post, waiting for signs that someone, anyone, was listening. 3 plays, then 5, then 16. And that voice in my head came back. Really? That's it? You spent all that time, all that effort for this? And just like that, I was back in performance mode, judging the value of my effort through numbers, measuring my worth in views, likes, clicks. That's when I realized, even though I'd left the arena, the mindset had followed me. And it was loud. Because when you've been conditioned to equate success with visibility, silence feels like failure. But here's the shift that saved me. I stopped asking how many people saw it, and I started asking, who did it speak to? That's when it happened. I got a message, just one, but it landed like a thunderclap. It said, I didn't listen to your podcast like a show. I received it like a letter. That sentence, it wrecked me in the best way. Because in that moment, I understood. This isn't about reaching everyone. It's about reaching the right ones. The ones who are in the storm, who are on the edge of something new, who don't need a tutorial. They need to feel less alone. That's who I'm speaking to. And if that's you, then this whole thing was already worth it. The first week taught me more than 3 months of preparation ever could. Because planning is safe, comfortable. You're still in control when you're planning. But once you hit publish, you step into a new space. A space where the outcome is no longer yours to manage, where your creation no longer belongs just to you. And that's exactly where the real learning begins. Here's what the first week revealed to me, clearly, deeply. 1. Creating is not enough. You have to sustain. I used to think launching was a finish line. It's not. It's the starting block. When episode 1 went live, I expected to feel relief. Instead, I felt the weight of a new responsibility. Suddenly, there was this pressure to keep showing up, to record the next episode, to post on social media, to respond to messages, to ride the momentum, even if I was exhausted. And here's the hard truth. When you're building something solo, there is no team, no editor, no manager, no one to say, great job, take a break. You are the engine. Your energy is the fuel. And if you don't protect it, you'll burn out trying to keep a rhythm that was never yours to begin with. So I had to pause, breathe, and ask myself, can I build this sustainably, or am I just chasing pace? That question changed everything. 2, don't lose yourself trying to play the game. Midweek, I was about to post this beautifully crafted message, polished, strategic. It hit all the growth keywords, had the right vibe for LinkedIn, the kind of thing that might have performed well. But then I stopped. I read it again, and it just didn't sound like me. It sounded like someone trying to be seen, not someone trying to be real. So I deleted it. Instead, I posted a simple screenshot of a message I'd received, and I wrote, messages like this makes me want to keep going. Thank you. No strategy, no formula, just honesty. And you know what? That post got more engagement than anything else that week. Because people don't connect to polish. They connect to presence. And I was present in that post. 3, hard projects are heavy. They don't look that way on the outside. The podcast? Cool. You record, you talk, you upload. But here's what most people don't see. Every decision, the intro music, the topic, the thumbnail, feels like a reflection of who you are. And when something goes wrong, a tech issue, a typo, a quiet response, it doesn't just feel like an error. It feels personal. Because hard projects aren't just what you do. They're what you carry. They're not made in boardrooms. They're made in quiet moments, on tired nights, between doubts and hopes. And that makes them beautiful, but also heavy. So here's what I'm learning. It's okay to feel that weight. It's okay to rest. It's okay to say, this matters to me, and that's why it's hard. That realization, that compassion for myself, was the biggest lesson of all. The morning after that first week ended, I woke up early. The house was still quiet. Steam rose slowly from my cup of tea. My notebook was open, blank. And I wrote at the top of the page, what I won't do again. Not as a list of failures, but as a list of boundaries. Clarity earned through motion. Because 1 week in, just one, I could already feel the pull. Post more. Be everywhere. Keep the momentum. Don't slow down. Stay visible. But I've lived that life before. The one where you run so fast, you forget why you started. Where consistency becomes pressure and visibility becomes a mask. So this time, I'm choosing different. Here's what I'm doing now. I won't post just to stay visible. If I don't have something honest to say, I'll just stay quiet. Silence isn't laziness. Sometimes it's space. Sometimes it's wisdom. I won't try to be everywhere. I'm not a content machine. I'm a human being. So instead of spreading myself thin across every platform, I'll focus on being fully present where I feel most aligned, where the exchange feels real. Quality over algorithm, always. I'll protect my rhythm, writing on Mondays, recording midweek, publishing on Fridays. Not a rigid plan, a living structure. A framework that respects both the creative flow and the personal space I need to breathe. Because sustainable rhythm is what turns effort into legacy. I'll share the gray days too, the low energy days, the self-doubt, the lack of clarity, the frustration when nothing seems to land, because that's also part of the journey. And if I hide that, then this isn't pure exchange. I'm not building a brand, I'm building a space where people don't need to perform to feel seen, a space where we don't have to pretend we've all figured it out, a space where honesty isn't optional, it's the foundation. And maybe, just maybe, if I keep showing up that way, others will feel safe enough to show up too. Not as their optimized version, not as their filtered self, but as they are right now. If you're still here, thank you. Not just for watching, not just for listening, but for staying, for giving your time, your attention, your presence. I don't take that lightly because I know in today's world, attention is sacred. It's a currency more valuable than clicks or shares. And you just spent yours with me. That means everything. I hope this episode gave you something, a spark, a question, a sense of recognition, a breath of finally someone said it. Maybe it reminded you that you're not late, that you're not broken, that you're not alone in your in-between, because that's where I am too. Not at the finish line, not at the peak, just on the path, learning, shedding, becoming. And here's what I want to leave you with. You don't need permission to start. You don't need to wait for the perfect plan, the perfect setup, the perfect vision of yourself. Start where you are. Start small. Start scared. Start tired if you have to. But start. Because what you carry inside, your ideas, your story, your message, might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Even if only one person hears it. Even if it's not viral. Even if no one claps. That one person might be you. And that's enough. This is pure exchange. Not a product, not a performance, a practice. A practice of just showing up as I am, in public, on purpose, with heart. And if this space resonates with you, stick around. There's more to come, more questions, more moments, more truth. And if you feel like leaving a message, don't just do it for the algorithm. Do it for me. Do it for you. For whoever reads and thinks, okay, maybe I could keep going too. Drop a word, a sentence, or just say, I'm here. Because you are. And that matters. This is just the beginning.